Yeah, looking at Literature Devil's video about does the world still need Superman does make me still think about how the villain is put on a pedestal now because they think it is easier to create stuff for them. I think it depends on your mindset. For me, for Uplift Protocol, it's much easier for me to create things for the heroes to do. Because they have that overall sense of wonder, the need to explore, because I want to counterbalance all the, basically follow the villain POV setups that happen. That's the reason why I have a first person mode for the main hero of the tale, because I find I fit in more easily with that. If you're going to create stuff for aspirational heroes to do, yeah, you could still do the hero's journey for them. You can still do a hero's journey for flat arc characters too. Because the thing with flat arc characters, their overall ethics, goals, and, well, mainly the ethics and the morality and their backbone, that won't change. Sometimes some of the goals might change depending on what's happening in the story, but what makes them fundamentally them does not get warped and degraded over time. A flat art character helps change the world around them because they already know what they're going for. Star basically just wants to do good by, you know, her friends, family, the various planets, all the people that she has to protect. That's why she's going to be the white defender, the defender of life, that sort of thing. Because I did like that aspect from Green Lantern, but in this case, the power of the white isn't encapsulated in Earth. If you've been reading along, it's more like that stuff kind of gains some of its power from the Ouroboros itself, along with some other factors. You'll see later on in the story, but basically, yeah, like for me, um, sometimes anger. If I'm feeling anger about something, I guess I could put it in some of the bad guys. But then I gotta guess it's like some of the anger I experience really wouldn't fit the overall characterization for the bad guys that I do have. Um, it's just a case of, I guess nowadays, far too often, just like what Literature Devil's thing was saying, people find it easier to basically put all their malice and hate into the villain. They think that automatically will make it a more interesting character. To me, that will make a character that can fit like a lot of cardinal or vices, basically, or carnal, more vice, like that sort of setup. Because again, I'm kind of a little bit off the cuff here. I guess I could put this in reading and topics, but yeah, the villain isn't inherently more interesting than the hero. It all comes down to a writer's personal tastes and a reader's personal interests, all of that wrapped into one. It's just a case of trying to find readers that are basically being starved, like they're not being catered to whatsoever. So I guess that's the reason why more and more people should create what they want to see. Um, I mean, and what really got me on this is just seeing the one article. I'll put it linked below, but I saw it on Twitter. It was reblogged, and it was basically "Use Your Bitterness" by Eli Ring. Creating bad guys or gals for your story is usually easier and more interesting than creating good ones. It's probably because they have built-in conflict. And the conflict is what makes the story hum. One source of good material for wicked, evil characters is your own experience. All of us have encountered people in our lives that have mistreated us, insulted us, or lied to us about others, or to others. When you think about them, old and emotional wounds open, and thoughts of anger and even hatred flare. Use this bitterness. The best way to deal with emotions towards such people is forgiveness. Bitterness and revenge are self-destructive. There's an old saying that you should dig two graves if you go seeking revenge. This does not mean you cannot use your enemies, the strong emotions they trigger, as a rich source of material for creating loathsome characters for your stories. It can not only help you craft engaging, memorable villains, but in a subtle way you get a measure of payback without the cost of overt revenge by immortalizing the aberrant character or a horrible character, the antagonists in your life, for your work of literature. Um, I mean, yeah, I guess that could be a foundation for some villain stuff because even no matter what character you create, you do put a little piece of your stuff in it, in every character you make. But I don't. Part of me finds it really sad that some people will find it easier to basically build up a villain. So I honestly just want to put my own thing in it with Uplift Protocol, where I want to show people that aspirational heroes can be fun, they can be dynamic, they can have their own issues, but they work through them. And most of the time, if you have a heroic mindset, you don't bring people down with you, you lift them up instead. At least that's how I see it. Um, you know what? Aspirational heroes also have built in conflict. And you don't have to build in that conflict by killing off characters around them either. Again, this is just my own thoughts on the matter, just my point of view. Everybody can take it as it will, but there's multiple ways to provide challenges for aspirational heroes that don't involve, like, say, killing the family dog or killing off the parents or killing off the love interest or things like that, or even the best friend. You just have to make the character believe that there's higher stakes. That because a more aspirational hero will care more about what even's beyond their general family sphere. They'll care about the whole entirety of their setting. Kind of like how Superman doesn't just take care of Metropolis; he takes care of Earth. He goes out and helps the Green Lanterns fight in other sectors and handle other things. So you can always find different conflicts for aspirational hero or a moral hero. And sometimes those conflicts are just kind of like with, Superman's view versus Manchester Black. I mean, even though I'm using a little bit of the DC reference, I'm just doing it out of because it is a cultural icon that people can automatically understand. So yeah, Superman doesn't have to be relevant to whatever current year bullshit's going on. Superman is Superman. And that's why there's so many knockoffs of Superman, because Superman is the archetype of an aspirational hero, of a moral hero. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I just want to keep that fuels my writing to where it's like I want to keep going, because far too often in this day and age, heroes, legitimate heroes, are just a springboard to showcase how fucked up a villain can be. Case in point, all the Harley Quinn worship. Uh, Basically, the Joker movie being pretty much not. It's not even the exception. It's the rule now. Uh, People follow villain protagonists a lot more often now because most creatives are on the track of, yes, the villain has inherently more X, Y, or Z. It's like, no, you just have to look at it from a different angle. I'm hoping eventually the pendulum will shift back to where it's not so much, villain, villain, villain. It, Granted, you have to have a villain to do contrast with your aspirational hero, but it seems like lately it's been more like the aspirational hero or the hero in general is an afterthought, and it's like villain central all the time. Like, again, we're not going to even get a free-form Superman game. Batman's had plenty of games where he's the star. Superman has had a couple of really bad stinkers, and that's about it. And yet they're making a free-form Suicide Squad game. Yeah, again, uh, yeah, disappointing. Just like how Kevin Sorbo delivered that line as Hercules. Yes, it is disappointing. So that's why I just find it vital to support superversive stuff where, yeah, it'll have villains in it, but it'll also showcase, the virtuous heroes that we need nowadays. With the world being filled with as much junk as it is right now, we need aspirational heroes more than ever. Full stop. Like, my kingdom for more aspirational heroes, because I've seen plenty of stuff with Lord of the Rings and other things like that, and they're classics for a reason. but I also want to see other people's take on it, and I'm tired of the deconstruction take. I'm tired of the Alan Moore shitfests. I'm tired of the boys. I'm tired of the Game of Thrones being dominant over everything. So, yeah. And one series that does give me that sense is Saint Tommy by Deacon Flynn. He's a hero that knows what his capabilities are. He follows a noble path, especially when the world around him feels like a fallen world, but he's the type of character that will help uplift himself and others, even at great personal expense. So I'll link that series below as well, so that way, if people are starting to get back into urban fantasy, even after being basically driven away because of stuff like Anita Blake, trust me, you'll find an actual aspirational hero in St. Tommy, a guy who does legitimately try his best to do the right thing no matter the personal cost.